The mystery of the Somerton Man, also known as the Tamam Shud case or the mystery of Somerton Beach, is one of Australia's most enduring and perplexing cold cases. It began on December 1st, 1948, when a man's body was discovered on Somerton Beach, just south of Adelaide, South Australia. The circumstances surrounding his death, coupled with the enigmatic clues left behind, have captivated investigators, historians, and amateur sleuths for decades. On that fateful morning, John Lyons, a local jeweler, was out for an early walk along the beach with his wife when he stumbled upon the body of a well-dressed man lying in the sand. The man appeared to be resting with his head propped against the seawall, legs extended and feet crossed. Initially, Lyons thought the man was asleep, but upon closer inspection, it became evident that he was deceased. There were no obvious signs of struggle or violence. The body was taken to the Royal Adelaide Hospital where an autopsy was performed by Dr. John Barclay Bennett. The autopsy revealed that the man was of European descent, about 40 to 45 years old, and in excellent physical condition. He was 5 feet 11 inches tall, with gray-blue eyes, fair to ginger-colored hair, and a tan complexion. He had no identification on him, and all labels had been removed from his clothing, adding to the mystery. Further analysis revealed that the man's last meal had been a pasty consumed 3 to 4 hours before death. However, there was no trace of poison found in the food. The pathologist, Dr. Dwyer, concluded that the cause of death was heart failure, but there were suspicions that the man had been poisoned, as there was an absence of natural disease or physical injury that could have caused his sudden demise. The coroner seemed to agree. I would be prepared to find that he died from poison, that the poison was probably a glucoside, and that it was not accidentally administered. But I cannot say whether it was administered by the deceased himself or by some other person. One of the most baffling aspects of the case was the discovery of a small, rolled-up piece of paper in a hidden pocket sewn into the man's trousers. The paper contained the words Tamam Shud, which is Persian for ended or finished. This phrase is the final words of the Rubaiyat, a collection of poems attributed to the 12th century Persian poet Omar Khayyam. The book from which this paper was torn was eventually found, and it contained a cipher-like code that has never been fully deciphered. This cryptic note only deepened the mystery. A local man came forward in July 1949, claiming to have found a copy of the Rubaiyat thrown into the back of his car at the time of the Somerton Man's death. The ripped piece that was discovered in the Somerton Man's pocket lined up exactly with the gap on the last page of the thrown-away copy. It's interesting to note that the book had multiple handwritten markings in it, including a phone number belonging to a nurse named Jessie Jo Thompson. Despite living in close proximity to the beach where the Somerton Man was found, she refuted any knowledge of him during her interview with authorities in July 1949. In an attempt to trigger her recollection, police escorted her to view a plaster bust of the man's head and shoulders. She reportedly acted strangely upon witnessing it, but she never disclosed the reason. In response to a question regarding the Rubaiyat, Thompson acknowledged knowing the book and having given a copy to a former Army lieutenant named Alf Boxall in Sydney in 1945. However, Boxall was found alive and still in possession of his copy of the book, leaving investigators at a dead end. The Somerton Man's clothing provided some additional, albeit perplexing, clues. He was dressed in a white shirt, red and blue tie, brown trousers, socks and shoes, and a brown knitted pullover. He also had a fashionable double-breasted jacket. The labels on all his clothes had been removed, and the only distinguishing mark was a dry cleaning tag that led nowhere. His shoes were remarkably clean, unusual for someone who had been walking on a sandy beach, suggesting that he might have been placed there post-mortem. Over the years, various theories have been proposed regarding the Somerton Man's identity and the circumstances of his death. Some believe he was a spy, given the Cold War context and the involvement of individuals with intelligence backgrounds. Others think he might have been involved in a love triangle or had connections to organized crime. Theories about his origin range from him being a foreign sailor to a down-on-his-luck local. In 1949, a suitcase believed to belong to the Somerton Man was discovered at the Adelaide railway station. The suitcase contained a number of items, including a dressing gown, a pair of trousers with sand in the cuffs, a screwdriver, a razor strop, scissors, a stenciling brush used by merchant seamen to mark cargo, and a thread card of Barber brand orange wax thread not available in Australia. Interestingly, the thread matched the one used to repair the pocket in the man's trousers, where the Tamam Shud paper was found. Nearly every label and identification on the clothing and suitcase had been taken off. Police also discovered an undershirt labeled Keen, a wash bag labeled Keen, and a tie bearing the name T. Keen. 3 dry cleaning markings, 1171-7, 4393-7, and 3537, were also discovered. A nationwide search produced no results. Despite these clues, the man's identity remained elusive. The suitcase provided no conclusive leads, and the code found in the Rubaiyat has resisted all attempts at decryption. In recent years, advancements in forensic science and DNA analysis have offered new avenues for investigation. In 2013, a team led by Professor Derek Abbott from the University of Adelaide began a renewed effort to solve the case. They exhumed the Somerton man's body to obtain a DNA sample, hoping modern technology could finally uncover his identity. Further complicating the mystery is the involvement of Jessica Thompson's family. Joe Thompson's son, Robin, bore a striking resemblance to the Somerton man, leading some to speculate that he might be the man's son. DNA analysis has been conducted on Robin's descendants to see if there is a genetic link, but results have been inconclusive. The possibility that the Somerton man could be Robin's father raises questions about Jessica Thompson's role in the mystery and whether she knew more than she ever revealed. One of the more recent developments in the case came in 2022 when the South Australian police announced that they had identified the Somerton man as Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker born in Melbourne in 1905. This breakthrough was based on DNA evidence and genealogical research. Webb had no known connections to espionage, suggesting that the more sensational theories about the Somerton man's death might be unfounded. However, the exact circumstances of how and why Webb ended up on Somerton Beach remain unclear. The identification of Charles Webb as the Somerton man is a significant step forward, but it does not fully solve the mystery. Why did he travel to Adelaide? What was the purpose of the cryptic code found in the Rubaiyat? Why were all the labels removed from his clothing? These questions persist, fueling ongoing interest and investigation. The case of the Somerton man is a compelling example of how a single unexplained death can captivate the public imagination and remain a topic of fascination for generations. The case also highlights the challenges and limitations of forensic science and criminal investigation, particularly in an era before modern technology. The mystery of the Somerton man